So,
Just
Jill,
keen
well,
to get going.
actually, before we start the
Yes,
proper questions, this is actually a
yes.
question I've got for you. Because,
Oh, go for it.
much as I'm aware of you, because you're omnipotent in the social media world. I don't know. We've never met. We've not met before. We've not
No,
spoken
no, we
before.
haven't.
So this is kind of exciting for me. And I've always wondered how you made the switch. How you made the switch from clinician
Ah,
to where you are now.
yeah. So kind of necessity, really. So I worked in marketing and PR before I trained to be a podiatrist. So I got my marketing background in before I kind of even heard about podiatry. But then I got going in podiatry, teaching at Huddersfield, running my own private practice, worked a little bit in the NHS, and then I got married to a soldier. And being a clinician and a military wife do not go together, let me tell you. So we move house pretty much every 12 to 18 months, and doing that, and you can't do that and have a clinical business, and you certainly
Mm.
can't do that and just keep applying for clinical jobs, especially when you're living in Turkey and Pakistan and Jamaica and all over the place. It just doesn't work. So it was out of necessity. I literally was like, right, what can I do online using my skill set? I know healthcare, I know marketing and PR. Put the two together. That was it.
Amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd imagine being somewhere for a year at a time it's not conducive to building a
It's not.
busy clinical list, is it?
It's not at
Yeah.
all. It's soul destroying. I love it. I love moving around and meeting new people. But from a business, even from running. So when I first started, I started running a marketing consultancy, which was great. But again, every time you move a huge new geographical place, you've got to start all over again with networking. And so
Mm.
that didn't work either, which is why I took it online. Yeah, it's tricky. It's a tricky one.
I guess that's the beauty of the internet, though, isn't it? I mean, as long as you're
It's
connected,
fantastic.
you can work from
Yeah.
anywhere, or work from
That's
anywhere.
right. So I've
Costa
literally
Coffee
just
for you.
come back. Costa Coffee, which is where I spend my life because my internet at home is rubbish. So I've just come back from 2 months in Nepal, literally in the jungle in Nepal, working in a leprosy hospital, and I could run my business from there.
Amazing. So still seeing
Yeah.
patients there, were you? Or?
That was scary. Yes, I
Yeah,
was.
that's
I'd
scary
been
to
there
me.
too. It was. I hadn't picked up a scalpel since 2005, and they asked. I was there day 2, and they asked me to amputate a toe. So that was interesting. Yeah. So yeah, I got hands on. I was treating patients, which
Wow.
was interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've not held a scalpel for well over a decade. I could think I could probably amputate a toe, but not
It's
necessarily.
like everybody said to me before I
How hard
went,
can
it's
it
like
be,
riding
right?
a bike, you'll be fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. How hard can it
can't
be?
cut it off. You can't go wrong. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
It was the
Tim's
suturing.
online.
I couldn't remember how to suture. That was the problem.
So who we got? We got Diane. We got Tim. We got Graham, Emma Cowley, Veronica Newton. Hello to everyone.
Yay. Hello.
About 27 people. Should we crack on? Craig?
Yep, no, let's get started.
Excellent. So, that's a timely question. Someone's has just posted, "Hi folks, what's today's chat about?" So on that note, we may as well
Love it.
get stuck in. Today's chat is with Jill Woods, and it's about marketing and social media. And I guess one of the early questions we're going to come to is whether we should delineate those. When is something marketing and when is it social media, which we'll get to shortly. One of the questions that came through quite a lot, and I think this is quite reflective of podiatrists or healthcare professionals, is that the term marketing doesn't always sit well. It feels a bit dirty. A good friend of mine is a big Bill Hicks fan. The comedian, he does a whole skit on if you're in marketing, kill yourself. So, it's not particularly a popular word. What do you see it actually means, Jill? What does marketing mean, and why do we perceive it as being so sort of uncomfortable as health professionals?
Okay, so there's a saying in marketing that marketers ruin everything. So every great sort of communication platform that we've ever had in history, marketers have come along and ruined it. And it's because of its reputation for being sleazy, cheesy, pushy, salesy, all of those things. And we've kind of grown up with that, and we've kind of learnt that is what marketing and sales is all about. I really want to flip that right on its head and say in healthcare, there is nothing more ethical that you can do than market your practice well, okay? Because if you can do your marketing well, you're going to connect with more people, which means you're going to attract more patients, which means you're going to change more people's lives. Okay, so that is the way I would look at marketing. Yes, historically you may have had bad experiences, but if you're in your practice, you choose how you do it. You don't have to be pushy, cheesy, salesy, sleazy. You can be all not of any of those things. Okay, but it's your duty to market your practice well so that you can reach out and connect with and help more and more and more patients, because people out there need your help and it's going to improve their quality of life. So that would be my flip to the cheesy, sleazy, salesy thing. Does that make sense?
Marketing, yeah, absolutely. Marketing, people sort of think it's sort of, they align it with selling. I mean, I consider myself to do a lot of marketing online. Self-promotion, etc. This could be arguably described as that, what we're doing now, but I've never sold a single thing online. So why do people believe that marketing is equals selling? Where does that sort of myth come from?
Well, because often people market to you because they want to sell to you. All right. So you look at all the TV adverts, they're marketing, they want you to go to the supermarket and buy the latest spaghetti bolognese or whatever it is. And that's the association that we make, is that people are only going to come and try and market to us when we want to buy something. Now, this is the old model. Okay, so the old model is a push model of marketing, which is where you push out a sales message. Come and buy my latest thing. I've got a special offer on, buy one, get one free. We've got a sale on. All of those marketing messages traditionally were transaction orientated. And that's why we are all conditioned to connect marketing with sales. Flip that completely. The internet came along and changed everything, and now it's all about pull marketing, and it's about attracting people towards you. So often much of what we put out now is nothing to do with selling a product. It's about helping people to get to know us, like us, and trust us before we get anywhere near selling anything.
Yeah. And so let's talk about social media. Is social media marketing, or are they different beasts?
No, absolutely. So marketing is huge. Anybody who saw my Instagram post before, or my Facebook post, this is what's huge. Marketing is huge. So traditionally there were 5 Ps. When I trained in marketing, there were 5 Ps. We now have 7 Ps in marketing. And so you need to remember, and somebody posted something a message to me very recently and said, oh my goodness, Jill, I never realized that marketing wasn't just advertising. Okay, so when you're marketing in your practice, this is everything that comes under the umbrella of marketing. Your people, the products that you sell, the processes that you have, it means those processes that engage with your patients, the place you do business, that's both online and offline, the prices that you charge, the promotion, which is the thing that everybody thinks is advertising, and then physical evidence, which is one of the new ones, which is all about social proof and proving that you can do what you say you can do. So all of those things. So anytime you're working on pricing, anytime you're training your staff how to interact with your patients, anytime you're looking at product development or developing your services, all of that comes under the umbrella of marketing. It's huge. So in the mix is social media. So social media is just a very, very small part of a very big pie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if we're on social media, we're marketing ultimately, whether we like to admit it or not.
But, okay, so here's the thing that I want to be very clear from the outset. So there's a cycle in marketing. There's a cycle you need to take your potential patients and patients through. In sales, it's a funnel, but I see it as a cycle. So the cycle goes: know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, refer. Okay, and that is the cycle you're wanting to take your potential and patients through. And the first 3 are know, like, and trust. And this is where social media reigns supreme. It enables people to get to know you, decide if they like you, and then also decide if they trust you. Now, 2 of those things, know and like, are nothing to do with your clinical expertise. They're nothing to do with your research evidence base. It's all about you as a person. And that's where social media has been so powerful, because social media is about being you as a person and being sociable. And that is why it really is powerful and fuels those first 2 elements of that cycle. Does that
it does.
Kind of
it does.
make sense?
It feeds in nicely to another question that came in, which is, I think from what I gather, the way it's been worded, someone who doesn't do social media.
Okay.
So two two questions that were very similar. One was I'm a bit of a technophobe, so you know, how do I start? That's a big question. Let's leave that till a bit later on. This one,
can we come back to that, because I've got a couple of ideas around that one. Okay,
and that's a big one. Kind of on that vein is I guess someone in the same boat thinking, I don't really want to do this. It sounds like a bit of a pain. So the question was, what's the genuine downs? You know, we talk about the benefits. What's the downside in 2018 if I'm a private practitioner and I just don't want to do social media because I don't like it, don't understand it, whatever reason. What are the genuine downsides? How is someone handicapping themselves in the current market?
Okay, so there's a reasonable sort of smattering of answers to this question. So, but what I want to say first and foremost is that you are a local business, okay? 99.9% of podiatry practices are local businesses, and it's your duty to raise your profile in your local area. Now, some of that is going to be offline, obviously. Some of that is going to be online. Okay, so I just want to make that point. What I'm not here to do is absolutely sell my soul to the social media devil. I'm putting social media in the mix, in the marketing mix. Okay, now if you're not going into social media, there's a number of things you're fundamentally going to be missing. Primarily, social media is the most powerful communication tool for connecting you with people we have ever had in history. If you're not using it, you're turning your back on the power of that tool. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, you're going to be handing the advantage in this arena to your competitors. If you back away, and I say, I'm not saying you have to do it, but if you do back away, you've got to acknowledge that what you're doing is handing the control on social media over to your competitors. So that's number two. Number three, you're not going to be meeting people's expectations. So many people now, I get so frustrated if I go online. I went to somebody's website today and I wanted to connect with them, and I went on their website and there was nothing. There was no social media. I searched on social media, couldn't find them, and I got so frustrated. I was like, I just want to talk to you on Twitter, you know? So you're not meeting at people's expectations, because people expect now to be able to communicate with local businesses via social media. Again, I'm not saying you have to do it, but it's just an expectation that is coming in society now. And I think the other thing is, you kind of might never discover how brilliant you might be at this if you just shut down from day one. And I know Diane is on the call, and I always give Diane as a great example, because when I first met Diane was very reluctant and very reticent, and now look where she is. She's all over social media. So you might never discover that you've got a genius for it, and you're really, really good at it if you don't embrace it. So that's you know, somehow, how else? The other thing is, if you've got a website and you're not using social media, how on earth are you driving traffic to your website? That's the other thing. Social media is the fuel for leading people in to your website, where you can give them a lot more information and enable them to engage with you a lot more and your practice a lot more and learn more about you and how you can help them. And if you're not running any kind of social media to drive that traffic, your website is almost redundant, unless you're hoping at some point it's going to show up in Google search. But the two work hand in hand. Social media and having a website work really, really hand in hand. And also, you've got to be plugged into social media in order to take advantage of some of the lowest cost and highest impact advertising that there is out there at the moment. So advertising on Facebook, advertising on YouTube, advertising on LinkedIn, on Instagram is some of the most cost-effective advertising that there is. And if you're not engaging on social media, again, you're missing that opportunity and you're handing that advantage over to your competitors. So hopefully that just gives you a little bit of food for thought around not doing it. And I say, you don't have to do it. Nobody's kind of going to put a gun at your head and say you've got to do social media. But if you're not, you need to know what the consequences and what the definite downsides are.
And is there anything you don't like about social media, Jill? I don't mean professionally or anything. I mean you personally. Is there anything about
Facebook.
Social media? What don't you like?
Oh, I hate Facebook. It's so complicated. It drives me mad. Part of the problem is because people can message you in lots and lots of different ways. So I'm very badly dyslexic, and I struggle organising things when they get a bit chaotic. And in Facebook, there are so many different threads coming in from so many different places. I just feel total overwhelm when I get into Facebook. So that's Facebook is my my total nemesis.
No, but I think that's one of my big frustrations. You know, in the past, you had email. Everything went via email. It was all in one place. Now you've got Facebook messages.
It was just here.
Twitter private messages. You got LinkedIn messages. You've got it all, and I just, you know, it'd be nice if someone could come up with a platform where it's all in one little, you know, things like Hootsuite are probably the closest, but that doesn't bring an email, so you still got to,
That's it. No, So that's me. That's just me though. But there again, I'm still using it. It's a very powerful tool. I don't like it, but that doesn't mean to say I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And off the back of this, it seems a natural progression to go into. So one of the things that when I speak to people about social media, then they tell me they don't like, apart from putting yourself out there and you know, the first time you do that being horrifically terrifying. One of the things I don't like is the challenge, and you know, I often thrive on the engagement with people and the challenge, and you know, I find it's a great way to keep up to date, to get research put on your lap, to have discussions, and obviously those discussions don't always end in rainbows. And one of the things that then gets shouted at is this kind of online bullying, which I think is often people play that card a bit too early, and it kind of brings us on to one of the topics we were going to talk about, which was as professionals using this, professionals with professional bodies, and there's a certain sort of code of conduct we need to adhere to. So I mean, absolutely, what sort of things should we definitely not be doing behavior wise?
So my kind of rule of thumb is, would I talk to my granny this way? If I wouldn't talk to my granny this way, I am not going to talk to anybody else on social media that way. That is my kind of insight. That's like my compass that guides me, and that's the measure I put against anything. If I'm in a rant and I'm like, and then I read it back and go, oh, I wouldn't say that to my granny. Delete. Okay. So, But you've got to be driven by your inner moral compass, and you've got to. And I think if you're at a point where that compass is telling you to write awful, I mean, there is just absolutely no excuse for it at all. And I have got zero tolerance. I'm very fortunate. None of my groups that I run have ever had anything inside, but I've got total zero tolerance for anything like that. It's just not acceptable. But I think from you personal perspective, there are things obviously you need to be aware of. So things for me like clinical diagnosis, giving out clinical treatment, all that kind of clinical based stuff is really opening yourself up for potential problems online. Absolutely talk to people about their problems, but you're giving no professional diagnosis, no treatment plans, or anything like that via a social media platform. And equally, as I say, from a professional code of conduct perspective, the words you use are very, very powerful. And the problem with social media, as with all kind of digital things other than video, is that you've got no body language to go with it. People can misconstrue what you say. So even if you intend to say something very positive, if it can be misinterpreted in any way, that is potentially going to, like you say, not going to end up in rainbows and glitter. It could be a downfall. So you've got to have a very, very strong inner compass that guides you, and be very, I'm struggling for the word here that I'm trying to find. Help me out here. What's the word I'm looking for? You've got to be self-moderating. That's what I'm looking for.
You're asking the wrong person. I'm terrible at
this. You've got to self-moderate. And the example I use, because this was told to me by a very good friend who actually used to fly rescue helicopters out into the North Sea. If you go out into the North Sea, if you paddle out into the North Sea on an inflatable alligator lilo, you are asking for trouble. Okay. And it's the same thing on social media. If you are posting stuff that other people can misconstrue, if you are posting stuff that opens you up to litigation, you're just asking for trouble, totally asking for trouble. So just have a very, very strong internal dialogue with yourself around what is and isn't acceptable. That's all I can say.
Let's come back to the bullying bit, because I totally agree with you. It's utterly unacceptable in any form, in any manner. But by the same token, one of our codes of conduct points is that we have a duty of care to be evidence-based, to put out appropriate and accurate information. So often what I find is when little ding-dongs start, it's often someone ticking that box with their duty of, and then someone else, getting into an argument. And at some point, I don't think, we're scientists. I don't think professional chatting is bullying, is it?
It isn't, but this is where it all comes unhinged, because what you think is putting a professional opinion strongly, somebody else can misconstrue as bullying. And you cannot, and this is a real problem online. I know what I mean. I know what my ethics and my values by which I operate are. I know those innately inside me. When I put something online, I cannot expect other people to operate from that same standpoint. So when I put something up there, I have to expect that other people can potentially misconstrue what I'm saying. And so I'm going to have to, I would always personally hold back slightly, because if there's a chance somebody's going to misconstrue what I'm saying as bullying, I don't want that. That's not who I am and how I operate. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
but,
I definitely need to hold back more at times. Craig, you wanted to talk about something in Australia, didn't you? Your professional body.
Ethics.
Let me just share this. Hang on, I'm just sharing my screen. This is our professional regulatory body here in Australia has its social media policy. It's not too dissimilar to a lot of other organisations, but the key one here is registered health practitioners should only post information that is not in breach of these obligations by, and the fourth point, presenting information in an unbiased, evidence-based context and not making unsubstantiated claims. And I like to think I do that really well, but often people I'm discussing with are not registered health professionals and are not bound by any code of ethics. And I've certainly encouraged people to lodge complaints about me to the regulatory authority because they don't like what I'm saying. But I know I'm on good grounds, and it also reminds me.
That's it. If you do, you've got a solid foundation. If you've got the evidence base for what you're declaring online, then you're on safe ground. If you don't, if you're BSing or just bigging yourself up, you're going to come unstuck. But you know that inside that you're doing the wrong thing.
But these guidelines cover all the registered health professions in Australia, and there certainly are 2 chiropractors who are currently suspended for actually breaching that part of the guidelines. So they weren't putting patients at risk, but they have been suspended from practice for posting. Totally. Which is it's scary.
And the other thing that I do want to say is about private Facebook groups and Facebook chat. So both of those are part of the Facebook interface, and both of those, even though it's a private group, even though you're having a private group chat, anything you say on those forums they're not public, but you're still sharing that content. You're still saying those things to those people, even if it's in a private group. So do not get a false sense of security because you're inside a private group or you're inside a private chat. Okay, but you've got to be on your guard all the way through all of that stuff, because it's just as powerful, and people can easily, take offence and take umbrage.
We have another situation.
You say in a private group.
You have another situation here in Australia. There was an actual private face-to-face little wee workshop run by some anti-vaccination clowns.
I love that, a little wee workshop.
But it was only a small group, but it was videotaped and put on YouTube, and a general practitioner, general medical practitioner, said something at that meeting that ended up on YouTube. He's now suspended for what he said was not evidence-based, nothing to do with putting patients at risk, though you could extrapolate from that. So it's not necessarily your clinical skills that are going to get you in trouble.
Yeah. And also what's very interesting is that the regulatory bodies are enforcing it. They've not just written on a piece of paper, they're actually enforcing it. So you do need to be very mindful. And just out of interest, the HCPC does have a code of conduct, a social media code of conduct. It's a 9-page document that you can download. It's very generic and it won't teach you anything you don't know, but it's good to go and have a look at it and at least have an awareness, certainly if you're in the UK, of what they're saying and what you need to abide by.
Yeah, I think we sometimes forget that. It's easy to forget. Very easy to forget. You're sitting on your laptop. You're in your lounge.
Yeah.
You know, there's no patience in your lounge. You're tapping away. You forget.
Yeah. And it's like here. So I'm sitting here. All I can see is 3 of you on my screen. I feel like there's just 3 of us. I don't know how many people are watching live on Facebook, but you know, it's very easy to get lulled into, because of the technology, there's just 3 of us having a chat. But actually, you've got to be incredibly mindful of everything that you commit to that medium, if you like.
Absolutely. Did anything else you wanted to say on that before we change topics, Craig? Was there another case
I think
talk about
briefly was this whole concept of butt hurt. You know, butt hurt is not bullying. And a lot of people, when you throw evidence-based stuff at them, suffer from butt hurt, and then they want to complain about you, and then they resort to the usual logical fallacies, attack you rather than what you say. And yeah, so let's move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Craig, you okay, hon? You okay, hon? Right. So let's talk about the different social media, the main social media channels that we use. I guess the big 3 to my mind: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And unless you do correct me if they're not the big 3, and then the kind of peripheral ones that get a bit of a feed in, like LinkedIn, like Snapchat, etc. I mean, where does someone start? Do they start small with 1 or 2?
I've got 2 rules of thumb. So first of all, where are your dream patients? Okay, it's absolutely pointless if I jumped over onto Snapchat and started putting 100% of my social media eggs in the Snapchat basket, and not one of my clients are on Snapchat. It's totally pointless. Okay, so that's number 1, is where are your dream patients hanging out on social media? Number 2, it has to be a platform where you feel comfortable and feel confident. If you're not confident, it has to be a platform where you are prepared to do some training to get confident. Okay, because if you say, right, a lot of my dream clients are on Instagram, for example, and you go on and you just kind of you're not comfortable, you're not confident, you're going to hash it, you're not going to do the platform justice, it's not going to work for you. So you have to commit. So what I always say to people is to commit to one social media platform where your clients are and get really, really good at using that one platform. Absolutely. Go to all of the other main social media platforms, claim those names. So get your name on there, but in the bio, link to the one social media platform where you're putting all your energy and all your time. So you've got them out there, you've claimed the names on all of those platforms. So if you say, for example, you get awesome at Instagram and you think, okay, this is pretty cool, I'm going to go now over and try Facebook. You've already got a profile set up, so you're not competing for the names. Get the names as soon as you can. But the other thing also around, you say the big 4, the one you missed is YouTube. YouTube is a social media platform. Okay, so my recommendation. Okay, so hold on to your hats, because there are big changes coming to YouTube pretty soon, and because Google owns YouTube, and Facebook and Google are in competition. So Google tried Google Plus a while ago, didn't really work out as a social media platform, certainly not in the UK. And but so YouTube are at the moment have got in beta testing a whole social media platform inside YouTube. They're beta testing at the moment, and you can bet your bottom dollar if that works, they are going to roll it out worldwide. So do not turn your back on YouTube for 1 minute. So I recommend one social media platform, as in the main 4 that you talked about, and have a YouTube channel. Partly because YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And partly because video is the way forward.
Oh, is that? Wow.
Just on YouTube, when you get your YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to our channel, the PodChatLive channel. So
Of course. Yeah, of course. Where's the red button? Click the red button to subscribe.
So on that note, I mean, I use most of the ones we've talked about there, and I'll often cross post. And it's interesting what you say there about where your audience is, because my audience is size-wise, at least, are reasonably similar across the platforms. But I'll put a post on Facebook, Twitter, Insta, YouTube, whatever it may be, and I'll find that certain posts really, really gets good engagement on one of those platforms, and don't seem keen to on the others, and then other posts vice versa.
Yeah.
Is that the audience, or is that the algorithms of the actual sites themselves?
It's a combination of both. So the algorithms, certainly on Facebook and to an extent Instagram and Twitter now, they've got quite a complex algorithm going on. And even YouTube actually has got quite a complex algorithm going on as well. So the algorithm is part of the issue, but it really is down to horses for courses. So different people like different platforms, so therefore they're different kind of personalities, so therefore they're going to engage with different kinds of content. So marketing is very much like being, and it should play to our strengths, it's like a science experiment. You know, you've got to try something on one platform and see what connects, see what gets the engagement. That doesn't work, right, next, try the next thing, and keep going until you identify what works really well on those platforms. And the other area that people are very, very poor at is looking at their analytics, looking at the data and saying, right, what is working, what isn't working, let's do more of what is and do less of what isn't. And that goes for all of those platforms. And you'll find, and this is where cross-posting doesn't generally work, because what you post on Facebook will engage with the Facebook audience, won't engage with an Insta audience, and vice versa. And also be really careful if all you're doing is cross-posting. So I unfollow people. I'm a bit militant about this. So if you are cross-posting from Facebook to Insta, and all it comes up with, the other way around, if you're cross-posting from Insta to Facebook, and on Facebook it just comes up with like an Insta link, or on Twitter with an Insta link, that is lazy social media marketing. Because I'm a big Twitter fan. I got on Twitter right at the beginning, and I'm a big Twitter user. And I get really hacked off if people are lazy about posting onto Twitter. So I unfollow them. I'm like, nope, not interested. Okay, you can't be bothered to connect with me as a Twitter user. I'm not interested in you. So yeah, so cross-posting is not a great game to play if all it does is share a link. If you're using something like, Craig mentioned Hootsuite earlier, if you're using something like a platform where you can create a post, put it in there, and then tell it to handle it slightly differently for each of the different platforms you're posting to, then that is fine. But if you just literally cross-posting from one to another, that is very, very lazy.
Yeah, no, Hootsuite makes sense. Hootsuite's a very powerful tool for that. It also allows me to have all my daughter's social media accounts open as well, so I can keep an eye on them.
I love it.
Oh God!
Does she know?
Oh, they know. Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
My boys are too young for this at the moment, and I'm terrified. I'm terrified when they start wanting Facebook accounts and things.
It'll be a different. They won't want a Facebook account.
Well, it'll be something cool.
Yeah, it'd be much cooler than Facebook. Yeah.
I think I saw some stats a couple of days ago about how that like my daughter's 11, 12, just that age and a bit older. They're leaving Facebook in droves. They're not
huge, and this is why Facebook has done the big changes it's done very recently, because they've had to shift with what their audience want, because people are leaving in huge numbers, and that's why they've brought in a lot of the big changes that they have a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Where are people going? Where are people going if they're leaving Facebook?
The numbers on Instagram are going through the roof. And which is worrying for Facebook. Well, I say worrying maybe, because one of the fantastic things with Instagram and Facebook is they're connected for advertising. They're connected, so you can do all your advertising on both of those platforms through the Facebook advertising tool that you can use. And so that makes, from a marketing perspective, that makes it very easy. And so if people are jumping ship from Facebook to Insta, Facebook still own them because Facebook own Instagram, so it's kind of still part of the same big machine, which is fine. But say from a marketing perspective, it's great because the two are connected inside the advertising tool, so it does make life a bit easier for us. It's not something else we've got to consider.
Talking advertising, actually, just you've reminded me that Diane sent a message just before we went on live. Quick question about Facebook advertising. Difference between Facebook ads and boosting a post.
Okay, it's a bit. I'm trying to think of an analogy, and I'm struggling. So you might need to help me out here. It's a bit. It's a bit like being first class and second class on the train or something like that. So in the eyes of Facebook, Facebook is very savvy about how it helps you post advertising. And if all you're doing is posting boosts, now boosts will get you seen, but the boosts are, because it's cheaper and easier to do, you're not going to get the reach that you will get with advertising. Okay, you can get some of the the demographic connections into people to say, this is who I want this post to get boosted to. But in the eyes of Facebook, that is all you're doing, they see you as an unsophisticated advertiser. So if you then do a little bit of advertising, they will hold your adverts back. Your adverts will not be as successful as somebody who is going all in on advertising and just doing a little bit of boosting. So in the eyes of Facebook, they're seen very much as first class and second class advertisers. Boosting is for novices, advertising is for experts. All that kind of thing. Does that? I don't want it to insult everybody, but that's inside the algorithm in Facebook, that's how they view it. Boosting is a great way to start and to kind of get your confidence and to get that reach going. But they reckon if you're not doing somewhere between 80 and 90% adverts and the 20% boosting, then you're seen as a novice advertiser on Facebook.
I had an interesting boosting question actually, and personal experience really. Yes. And I found that, every now and then Facebook sends you a little notification saying, oh, do you want to boost this post?
Yes.
For me, when I put a post out there that seems to be doing quite well on its own, so organically, it hits 10, 11, 12,000 people reach. They pop a little notification to me saying, this is doing really well, why don't you boost it? Whereas if I send out a bit of a doozy that hits 2,000-3,000 reach, and it just why are they asking me to boost the one that's already doing well and not the other, and not the one that's dying?
Because they know that the one that's doing well is getting engagement. And what they want on their platform is good quality content that engages. They don't want to be boosting crap, because this is why people are leaving Facebook, because they're getting too much crap in their feed. And so that's why they ask you to boost things that are doing well, because it's got track record. They already know it's going to do well, it's going to engage. So they ask you to boost it because it's already got a tick in the box.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
And that's a big thing. Facebook is coming down massively on rubbish content, and they're just stopping sharing any, the algorithm for pages. Your reach on a page now has dropped through the floor, because it's purely looking at engagement. How much are your posts engaging? And here's the thing, it's not, you can't go on and have a chat with people on your page and that counts as engagement. They're looking at engagement between individual users on your page, not on you engaging with your audience. It's a huge difference, a big shift. So unless you're getting masses of engagement, this is where Facebook Live videos are awesome, because you get a lot of interaction on Facebook Live. So that really is great for your profile inside Facebook. If all you're doing is putting out content and then interacting with a few people that comment, in the eyes of Facebook, that is not public engagement.
Now, just on the Facebook advertising, I can see how, for someone like what Ian and I are doing, PodChatLive, we can put an advertisement out. We can target people who have a job description of podiatrist. Now, when it comes to the local podiatry clinic, something like Google AdWords, you can target podiatrist and say London or the city, and your ad will show up targeted to people that are looking for that. The problem I have with Facebook advertising for a local clinic, what keywords are you targeting? You can only target a gender in a certain age group in a certain geographic location. So to me, the Google AdWords is probably more expensive, but probably going to generate more or not. The targeting for local advertising, I have a little bit of an issue with.
Okay. I mean, I've seen some really great results with Facebook local advertising, and they are also, just out of interest, I got a bit ahead of myself. I got very excited because they've launched a local app, Facebook app, that is going to compete with the Google My Business type thing. And so they're looking to really start promote. They know that this is a problem. They know that local businesses are struggling with the big Facebook. National and international businesses are fine, but local businesses are struggling. So they're relaunching what has been their events app They're relaunching that as a local app, which includes events. So you will be able to much more strategically target your local audience. They're currently beta testing it in a few countries, and I got very excited because while I was away, I was using a VPN via Singapore, and I could access it. So I was like, Deborah, get on Facebook Local, and everyone's like, we can't find it. Why is it not in the app stores? Because it's not here yet. Sorry, but it's coming. So yes, it is an issue. They know it's an issue, and accordingly, they're rolling out a whole new Facebook interface for local. So watch this space.
Because on Google AdWords, you can target people who are looking for a podiatrist. On Facebook, you don't know who's looking for a podiatrist, so you can only target an area or a region.
The keywords. Yeah.
Question that's just come in from Adnan Nazir. Hi, Jill. What do you think to the virtual video of the patient experience from entering the door, checking with reception, entering the clinic for consultation? What are your thoughts on that as without breaching patient confidentiality, of course?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's a brilliant idea. So what you've got to do is to reduce the barrier for people coming into your practice. And barriers to people coming in are fear. They're fearful of how much they're going to have to pay. They're fearful of how threatening your receptionist is going to be. They're fearful of, are they going to have to take all their clothes off when they come into the practice? Okay, they're fearful of a lot of stuff. So if you can make a video that addresses each of those fears in a different way, things like, I've got a friend who's very, very anxious. She's just very, very anxious, and she worries when she's going somewhere new, is she going to be able to park? Is she going to be able to find the door and get in? So if you did a video and said, here's our clinic, here's the car park, here's the bus stop, this is the door you go through, she would be like, oh, right, I know where I'm going and I know what I've got to do. So if you can create little snapshot videos that take people through that journey, things like what to expect on a first appointment. Okay, so if you're coming for an MSK appointment, for example, what's going to happen? Is it going to be painful? That's another fear. It's all of those. So if you can address each of those fears in a little short video, you're going to start lowering that fear and lowering that barrier of entry and encourage people to come to you. So yes, absolutely, it's a great idea. Don't make it too long. Do it in short snippets. How to find our practice, how to book an appointment. How to book an appointment. What's going to happen when you arrive at the practice? What happens in an initial appointment? Keep them short and do lots of them rather than one long video that does this, and this. Yeah, great idea.
And the best medium for that, if there is such a thing, is that an Instagram story thing? Is that a series of videos on Facebook?
YouTube. So get them done, get them recorded, upload them to your YouTube channel, because then from YouTube you can use them anywhere. But they're also then searchable inside the YouTube search engine. Yes, so
Excellent.
You get a killer across everywhere. But absolutely, do a permanent video, get it on YouTube, share it everywhere. But then if you want to do an Insta story, do that as well, but do it as a separate thing. Yeah.
Got you. Another question just coming from Kylie Williams.
Hi, Kylie.
How do health professionals find more support on this? If you go to a content marketer, then the marketing might go against professional standards. I mean, obviously, there's people like you. There's people
Can I say that?
Who understand.
I say, come and join me.
Yeah, of course you can. But I mean,
Yeah.
What sort of support is out there that you're very unique in that you have a foot in both camps. So yes. I guess that's why you're so evidently so popular.
Yeah.
What other support? I mean, obviously Kylie's in Australia. What other
That's
support?
No barrier.
What would you advise?
So the thing is, you've got to find somebody. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday, I think. You've got to find somebody that you can trust. And there are a lot, I'm going to say this publicly, there are a lot of charlatans out there. There are a lot of marketing experts, people who call themselves gurus on their social media profiles. Like, I'm a marketing guru. Like, seriously, steer clear of those people. But there are some very, very good small local businesses who are supporting, I'm not talking about big marketing consultancies, but there are some really good local marketing, I would call them experts, but marketing champions for local business. That's what you need. You're not a big internet company. You're not an international brand yet, but you are a small local business. And that's where I would go to start looking for some more. after you've been to see me, obviously. So come and connect with me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Jill B. Woods on Instagram and Twitter, and Practice Momentum on Facebook. And I can certainly help you, but go local, because then you can meet people face to face. Remember, know, like, trust. You've got to decide if you know them, like them and trust them before you're going to do business with them. Don't get into bed with somebody that you've just responded to a Facebook ad from. Really get to know them, because this is your business. This is your baby. And it's so important that you connect with the right people who are going to help you in the right way. We all do business differently. I am not a good fit for every practitioner, every healthcare practitioner. I'm just not. I'm not the right person for everyone. But equally, don't just go with the first person that you come across. But do your due diligence, but try go local, because there are some really great businesses out there supporting local business. Definitely.
Actually,
and I think
I've got a little.
Sorry, Craig.
I got a little criticism for you. While you said that, I just Googled Jill B. Woods, and your Twitter account and everything did come up, but your website didn't.
No, my website isn't Jill B. Woods. It's jillwoods.com.
Yeah, I know. I found it.
Okay.
But it's still.
Yeah.
I assume it would be nice. You would have liked that to have come up as well and searching for.
Sorry.
It. But it's okay.
The other thing.
What we said earlier, which is,
go on. Sorry. Go on.
I was going to say, if we find, just to Kylie's point, that we're worried about that professional standard. If we find someone local who isn't like you, who isn't a health professional as well, I guess that's our job to say, right, let's really, really gem up on those social media policies from our own perspective, so that we can make sure that we're doing what is most appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't take long. As I say, that like the HCPC, it's a 9-page document. You could give that to somebody. They could learn that in 10 minutes. It's not a big job to give somebody the tools to help you. Yeah.
Perfect.
Actually, just on that Facebook local, we've just had a comment from Sue Bamber that she's had an invite via Facebook.
Oh, where is she? Is she in Australia?
I'm just actually looking up. Yeah, yep, in the UK. Yeah.
Oh, UK! Oh, fantastic!
So she's had an invite to Facebook local, so they must be rolling it out.
It's on its way. Yeah, it's on its way. It's really going to make really going to make a big difference, I think, for local practices. Definitely. Yeah, I might fall slightly in love with Facebook if they get it right.
The other thing I wanted to mention about how we use social media, and we talk about sort of marketing, feeling like it's being sold. The way I first started using it many years ago was it was very selfish. It was actually, I was taking a lot more from it than I was giving. So I was following key people of influence. I was, following journals and things. And just in the last few months, Christian Barton and one of his colleagues published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine an article which the title was something like, in research there's always been this saying, publish or perish, which basically means if you're not generating work, you're going to become obsolete. The title of this was, should we change publish or perish to be visible or vanish? And they essentially put forward a really good case for why we should be on social media with regard to its role in sort of research translation, which I know we've spoken about in previous episodes with Kylie, with Emma Cowley and things. I think that's a massive plus point for it. So I always say to people, if you don't want to get on there and have yourself on video and promote your business, that's okay, but you should still be on there, because for the first few years I was on these things, I was taking, and I think they're just utterly invaluable. And I can't see that side of things changing unless you know different.
No, not at all. And I think I go back to what I said right at the beginning when I was answering that question about what's the real downside to not doing it. It is, but without doubt, the best communication tool we've ever had. We can connect with literally, I was in the Nepali jungle, for goodness sake. You can literally connect with anybody, anywhere, almost, with some exceptions, but pretty much. And therefore, so this whole, as a platform to have that professional dialogue, it's really powerful, because we can connect with all sorts of people we never even knew existed before. And so for that reason alone, absolutely, use it as a professional tool. Even if you're not going to use it as a marketing tool, use it to make those professional connections and find people who can help influence your clinical practice, even if you're not going to use it as a marketing tool. Definitely.
Actually, I'm a little conscious of the time. Perhaps we could
totally
move on to the role we see the professional associations and organisations in all of this. Like I did a little bit of homework yesterday on this, and I looked at quite a few national associations from different countries and looked at the sort of things they were posting and looked at who their followers were, and I thought they were a little bit misguided. A lot of them were posting like generic foot health information, but most of their followers and friends were members, or that they weren't the general public who so I just wonder what your comment on what you think the role of the professional associations are on social media.
Okay. I'm going to put my neck on the line here. I'm going to say pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm going to raise my head above the parapet. Pretty much, on the whole, professional bodies do social media very badly because they don't have the skill set, but they don't understand why they're using it. And that's what you need to fundamentally understand, is why are we using it? Now, they are membership organisations, so their role is to serve their members and to support their members. So as far as putting stuff out on social media, absolutely they're the professional body and they have a public face, but they also have a kind of a responsibility to support their members. And so I think putting information out that's targeted at members should be their primary objective on social media. But I also think they could facilitate and help their members by providing digital training. So I was talking to somebody down at the Society of Corporate and Podiatrists in the UK. It was a few months ago now, actually. It was back end of last year. And we were talking about digital skills. And there is a shocking digital skill gap. There are members of the society, who still don't know how to use email. So I think the professional bodies have, now whether that's just an excuse or whether they do actually don't know how to use email, but that's not the point. The point I want to make is I think the professional bodies, if they have that information and they know some of their membership are struggling with a tool that could really help them professionally, then they have a duty to look at providing some training and support to help their members develop that skill set. From a promoting the profession perspective, which gets a lot of people hot under the collar, I think it's down to the practitioners. I think if you think about how, and again, I'm probably going to get shot down for this, but how loud one voice is. So the society has one Facebook page. The society has one Twitter account, okay? You can only put so much content out on those two channels. If every podiatrist in the UK even once a day posted something on social media that said, this is what a podiatrist does in one form or other, that would be something like 13,000 social media posts every day. The society cannot do that. Okay. So my feeling is the society, the professional bodies should be supporting their members to get digital skills. They should be supporting their members by putting out content on their social media profiles that is aimed at members and not all at the general public. And the membership need to actually take some responsibility for promoting their individual professions and proactively do something every single day on social media to push out a consistent message. That's my opinion.
I agree totally.
Totally agree.
I think what the professional organisation should be doing is looking at who their followers are on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
And when you look at who they are, it's that they are their members. They are their people. So I was in a discussion with the CEO of one national body, and I almost suggested that their Facebook page should be her diary. You know, today we met with and we did this. Tomorrow we're heading off to meet with a certain politician. So their audience are their members on Facebook. It's not the general public. So it's not about putting out generic foot health messages, because the general public aren't going to see them.
No. But equally, they could get very, very sophisticated about how they use social media to build relationships. So, you know, lobbying in Parliament, all of that kind of stuff, those connections can be made and reinforced on social media. And so there is absolutely, you know, it doesn't just have to be about supporting the members. It can be about connecting with and communicating with influencers. But they need to have a strategy. They need to be more sophisticated about how they're doing it. Say the tools are there to be used, but you've got to have a strategy. You've got to have a workforce who understand it and are trained, and then you've got to have a strategy in order to put it into practice to actually grow that part of your social media program.
Yeah, as part of doing a bit of homework, I'd looked at the Twitter account of a one national organisation, well, it was one here in Australia, and just looked at who their followers were. And it was actually quite interesting because there was the CEO of the Australian Medical Association was a follower on Twitter. There were CEOs of other key health professional organisations were following them. I think, well, yeah, they're your audience as well, not necessarily the general public.
Yeah. No, I think they could be doing it a lot smarter, a lot cleverer, for sure. Definitely.
Last question, Jill, if that's okay.
Yes.
And that is, where's all this going in the future? Because without doubt, you look at most of us, certainly, I guess us three and most of the people watching, and I'm of an era where I grew up without the internet and without social media, and I sort of had to learn it and teach it to myself. Whereas the next generations of podiatrists, our 18-year-olds, our 19-year-olds, long before they've thought about podiatry or whatever career, they've had a phone in their hand with Snapchat, with Insta. They're coming to the game pre-armed, which none of us ever did. So what changes in the future? I mean, to my mind, the reason I've tried to stay so on the ball with this stuff is because otherwise these hot shots are coming through and immediately we're done for. We've got we need to keep up with these kids, right? But ultimately, it can only get easier in the future. So we worry about, do you think our professional bodies are going to sort of have a really, really easy time in the future because there'll be so many more people using it already?
Yeah, I think we've lived through a big transition. For sure. We've come from zero. When I did my dissertation at university, we used the library. There was no internet to do research, and I typed my dissertation. I didn't do it even on a word processor. I did it on a typewriter.
Craig was in a cave when he did his.
So for sure, we've lived through and experienced a big transition. But I don't underestimate what's coming. I think we're still going, and it's only getting faster. The pace of change is only getting faster and bigger and faster and bigger. And this is why I really feel very strongly that we need to make sure our clinicians are digitally skilled now, because this boat is sailing. And if you're not already on the boat, you're going to have a hell of an uphill climb to get to the point where you need to be to stay connected. And things like virtual reality, at the moment, it's not there yet, but the VR community is a massive, and the technology is getting bigger and smarter and cleverer. And for sure that is coming. Audio. So there's a big thing at the moment about Alexa and Alexa skills and all the sort of, everybody's jumping on bandwagon with these home hubs and that you can talk to, and all that audio stuff, that is going to be big too. So things around being savvy with, so people are shy about video, start with audio, get used to hearing, people say, I don't like the sound of my own voice, just get over it, start with audio, start doing audio podcasts. You've just got to look at the explosion of podcasting, how much that has really taken off in the last few years. I think we've lived through a big transition, but do not underestimate, this is still going, this is still rolling. We've not reached steady state. There will be a new Facebook in 10 years time. Nobody will be using Facebook in 10 years time. There'll be something else, or Facebook will have evolved itself into something completely different to move with the times. So I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what is actually coming, but I just know it's going to keep going. This momentum is really, it's going.
Great. I think, thanks, John.
You don't have to like social media, but you got to do it. Craig, one more question. I've actually got one more.
One question. Yeah.
Craig, Jill.
Yes.
How do you think we're doing with PodChatLive? What's your professional?
I love it.
Oh, good. Oh, thank goodness.
No, I tell you what I love. I love the fact it's just getting people talking. It's giving people a platform to have these conversations in public, easily, in their own time. They can watch it later. It's great. And more of this kind of stuff is really going to bring people out of their mouse holes, bring them online, get them going, give them some of the digital skills. No, I think it's great. More the merrier.
Okay. On that note, thanks so much, Jill. I'll just share my screen to point everyone towards your Twitter page.
There it is.
This is me. This is what I do. So I'm sure Jill will be happy to connect with people. I have been following your 365 daily doses.
Okay, cool.
206.
I do too. Yeah.
And of course, there's also your website, so I'm sure people can find you.
Also, look at you there! Look at that.
So once again, thanks so much, Jill. I think the feedback we've been.
It's a pleasure.
No curly questions. So thanks, Ian. Thanks, Jill.
Cool.